there's this doctor named Judith Herman who is the one to propose the idea of complex post-traumatic stress disorder in the first place about 30 years ago. Side note, like, she absolutely hates sex workers. And
Love it. Love to hear
yeah,
that. Great.
she wrote the introduction for one of Melissa Farley's books, who is
No.
just like, yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
So, take it with a grain of salt. But she did do some important work on trauma, and especially trauma in women and survivors of like domestic violence and sexual abuse and more long-term forms of abuse than like a single incident. And she comes up with these three stages of healing. And the first one is safety. So you have to get out of the traumatic situation before you can heal from it. You're not going to heal while it's still going on. And then the second one is called remembrance and mourning. And
Mm.
part of that, when you are the clinician working with a survivor of trauma, is to get them to be able to tell their story and to make it make sense, to find some kind of meaning. Because one of the things that violent trauma takes away from people is the sense that there is meaning in the world, that, depending on your beliefs, like, oh, there is a good and just God out there, or that people are caring. And so to be able to tell your story in such a way that you restore that sense of meaning, and also to allow you to grieve what has happened. And you can't grieve until you remember. And then the final step is reconnection. And I think storytelling can be part of that too. And Herman does talk about, like, if you have group therapy, you can have the survivors telling their stories to each other as a way to build connections and get over the kind of shame and isolation that a lot of survivors feel. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, I've literally been doing this like my whole life.
Um, so
I'm blown away.
I'm literally crying.